came to the presentations this week. Maybe some of you anyway, most of you know about bear farming, but this is the reality of it here in China. These are the crush cages here, you can see the gates that literally flattens these bars to the bottom of the cage. This belonged to a bear called Jasper, who hopefully you're going to see in a few minutes' time. Jasper is right behind you in the picture there, in the flat. He was there for 15 years in this crush cage. And these are the full metal jackets that the bears are often made to wear. This was our latest from a rescue in Shandong last year, where Oliver the bear wore his jacket for 30 years. And was in a cage for 30 years, so he's what we call our broken bear, but he's doing pretty well. But their lifespan is about 30 years, so we don't know how long Oliver has, and especially as he's so badly physically compromised as well. So these are quite hideous. They actually cause a lot of obviously skin lesions and hair loss, as well as being exceptionally heavy to wear. They're about 10 kilograms in weight. So if we just come across quite quickly, these are the products that replace bear bile. Don't forget, bear bile works. We're not disparaging Chinese medicine because it does work. It's been analysed in Minnesota University, apart from in Chinese medicine terms, to rejuvenate cells in your brain that would otherwise die. So think of Huntington's, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, believe it or not. It's also sold by the ton in its synthetic form, obviously not including bear bile. And that's to break down gallstones, cholecystitis in pregnant women, chronic liver complaints, etc. But again, it can easily and cheaply be replaced by herbs and synthetics. Okay, so just really quickly, this is how the bears arrive. We keep them in their crush cages for the first couple of days, unless we believe that we have a bear that's dying on our hands, and of course then we release it straight away. But the reasoning behind that is because we need to prioritise them properly. We've learnt a lot over these years. In fact, John Wedderburn here used to help us in the early years in surgery, and he's also on our board as well, So the most important thing when bears come in is just to observe them, because a bear that's not eating, it's not like a dog or a cat that you can rehydrate them and you're not too worried if they're not eating. If a bear's not eating, you've usually got a bear that is dying in front of your eyes. So rather than, in this case, with a bear with a hernia, we wouldn't be too worried about that hernia, or we certainly wouldn't be as worried as if a bear wasn't eating or if a bear was moaning. Bears are not particularly vocal animals, so if they're moaning, there's usually something very chronically wrong with them. However, in that time, when we've got them still in their crush cages, we can start enriching their lives straight away. You put straw on the top, they learn to bring it down and make a nice bed against those unrelenting bars. They've got free access to food and water. They've got showers for the first time in their lives. We can lift the cage crushes there to give them some more space. We can even put toys into the cage, and actually, believe it or not, even in their trauma, these bears start learning to play very, very quickly as well. They're amazing animals. They start to understand kindness for the first time in their lives. This is the part where people normally faint, so if you feel a bit queasy, just please. Well, we've got a doctor in the house, thank goodness, so that's fine. Go and see John. But this is just part of the pathology that we're seeing. As I say, it's both physical and it's psychological. Affects them so horribly, as you can imagine. They've got ulcerated paws and faces. They've got claws that grow over and puncture their pads and grow right through. They grow into the cage bars. They've got dry and hyperkeratotic foot pads. Many of them have been trapped in the wild illegally. They've got snare wounds, and many of them are missing limbs as a result of the snares going right through. And this is the most hideous part, because this is all as a result of the bile extraction methods. And we've got the catheter here, which is no longer allowed under Chinese regulations, but obviously is still used. There's also latex catheters that are used. That's over that way. There's a latex, which actually is exiting at the hip, believe it or not. That's under the skin, out of the gallbladder, under the skin, and out of the hip. It's absolutely hideous. And then this method, which is allowed, it's the free drip method, the fistula. It's just a hole that's carved into the gallbladder. And for some reason, the farmers have convinced the powers that be that this is a viable method of bile extraction and the bears don't suffer. Well, clearly the bears do suffer. The hole is trying to heal, so plastic fistulas are inserted to try to keep the hole open, and this is an example of one of the plastic fistulas that we've removed with the metal flanges attaching to the liver and sternum, and that's the ultimate result of bear farming. You've got necrotic tissue there, you've got cancers that have seeded across other organs into the bodies, and you've also got peritonitis, and we're finding these illnesses, these diseases routinely. Liver cancer kills at least 35% of our bears, so when it eventually kills them. So yeah, the bears are often declawed deliberately, cutting the third phalanx from their paw tips so the claws will never grow again, and they're often deliberately detoothed as well. If they're not detoothed, the bears will still smash their own teeth and repetitive bar biting, stereotypic behaviour in the farms, in just the absolute frustration of being caged. And there you can see again all this necrotic tissue inside, bacteria laced, it's nerve endings exposed, pulp exposed. It must be so, so painful. So on that note, I'm not even going to show you around the other side because you're going to see happy bears now, so there's no point showing you pictures of happy bears because we're going to go and for the next couple of hours see some nice scenes. So if you can just swap with the other group, enjoy the rehab for another 5 minutes and I'll get the other group here. Okay, thanks so much, Azam. Come on, give me a break here.